Welcome to the Greenlight Investor for the week ending July 10th, 2015. The goal of the Greenlight Investor is to provide a resource to make managing your 401k both a simple and easy process. We do this by using red, green, and yellow cells to help you decide when to buy, what to buy, and when to sell. This presentation is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as personal investment advice. The examples shown are going to be exactly that. They're examples of how you can use this worksheet to help make investment choices within your 401k. Please refer to your own investment policy and make sure that the choices you make are appropriate for your investment time horizon, as well as your understanding and your acceptance for taking on risks in the financial markets. With that said, let's go ahead and take a look at our worksheet. Each week we put together this worksheet. It's available on our website at thegreenlightinvestor.org, or you can email me and I'll be happy to put you on a mailing list and deliver this to your inbox each week so you can do a quick review of how your investments are doing within your 401k. The worksheet's updated each week and will show all the funds available to you. They're separated by fund number, the symbol, the fund name, and a description. And then we sort them by the core investments at the top. Those are the index funds. And as you scroll down, we'll go into the satellite investments, and that includes the money market, fixed income funds, U.S. growth and income, U.S. equity funds, international funds, and the sector funds that are available to you. In the center section, we update the performance for all of these funds each week, and we'll show you the closing price, the month-to-date return, the quarter-to-date return, as well as the year-to-date return. This is important so you can track your investments and see how the ones that you choose are doing relative to the other investment choices available to you, both in the overall spreadsheet as well as in each of the different categories. Up on top, if you click on this link, you can get into an outside source to put together an asset allocation questionnaire, and that'll help decide a good baseline for setting up your asset allocation within your 401k. And finally, we come to what I think is the most important part of this worksheet, and that's the current weekly trends. Those are centered around column V, which is our relative strength trend change column, and that shows the week over week trend change for each of the funds. When you see a bright green light, that will be one of the funds that has performed the best on a week over week basis. And when you see the bright red lights, those will be the weaker funds on a week over week basis. We tally these each week so you can see the trend as it develops. When you see red lights, those are generally negative performing funds. And when you see green lights, those are generally positive performing funds. We also have a numerical value that you can follow. When the numerical value is increasing, that means that the relative strength rating is improving. And when you see the numbers getting smaller, that'll mean that the relative strength rating is decreasing for each of the funds. Our goal is to tend to stay in the stronger funds, and we'll tend to stay away from the weaker funds. And I'll show you how you can use that in just a moment. When you look at the red, green, and yellow cells, you'll get a good idea of the health of the market. Here you see a lot of red cells. That's generally a good time to stay away from those funds. Here again you saw just a little bit of green, and this current week we switched over to all reds again, so not too bad a time to stay away from these funds also. As we scroll down to our U.S. equity funds, we have a short-term, an intermediate, and a long-term rating of the funds. What you want to do is make sure that the long-term rating is either a yellow or a green. Once you see a red bearish sign, that's something that you want to look at and see that you really want to be in the fund. You can always move out of it, and when it turns bullish again, then move back in. On the right side, also, if you see a red light on the right side as well as the left side of column V, it's a good time to stay away from those funds, as these are generally weakening. The only time that you'd want to make an exception is when you see 2 or 3 weeks where the trend score, the numerical value, is starting to increase. That may mean that you've seen the bottom of the fund drop and it may be starting to turn north again. Here you'll see again, we're starting to see more and more of the red lights appearing in column W. So generally you're seeing a weakening in the overall market. Here we're seeing where we had one row of green lights. This recent week we've changed to all red lights with the red X's. Here we had one yellow and one green. So it's continued to weaken. And you see by the number and the brightness of the red lights that this is one of the weaker sections. And let's scroll down here. We're actually seeing a couple of green lights appear, so those are starting to try to strengthen. And you can also confirm that with a bright green light and a bright green light on column V, which is showing the week over week change in the trend score. All right, with that as an overview, let's go ahead and take a look at how you can use this worksheet to make managing your 401k both a simple and easy process. What we'll want to do to take a look at your asset allocation and see if there's any changes that need to be made each week is view and then go over to the custom view. You'll see a drop down box, and what you want to do is click on the My Current Allocation and then click Show. Here you can see we have 100% in the target allocation. Our current portfolio allocation is 100%, so we're fully invested. And let's go down and see how we're invested. The index fund, we have a 10% allocation. The yellow light will, or the yellow cell will show you exactly how much you're invested in. So we see we have a 10% allocation, and there it is with the total stock market index. Let's move down, and here we have a 10% allocation to the money market fund, but we currently have moved 55% of the capital in the fund over to this money market fund as we've seen more and more red lights appear. So what we've done is we've taken our fixed income allocation and we've adjusted that for the short term to 0, and we're showing that we have 0 investment in the fixed income. And let's see, we have a 5% allocation to U.S. growth and income. And again, we have 0 right now because we've seen a lot of red lights starting to appear. In the U.S. equities, we have a 30% allocation, but we're only 20% invested. And again, that's because some of the choices have seen more red lights and a weakening in the market. So one of the choices that you can do is move money over to the cash fund, and that's what we did for this fund. With international funds, we have a 30% target allocation, but we're currently showing that we moved all of the capital from these funds to the money market, again, while we're waiting for the market to turn around and see green lights start to appear. And finally, a 15% allocation to the U.S. sector funds, and we're currently 15% invested, with 10% in the financial services and 5% in the healthcare. So let's scroll back up to the top and see what you do and how you can use this spreadsheet to see if there's any changes that you need to make on a week-over-week basis. If you slide the spreadsheet over so you can put it in line with your asset allocation, what you'll want to do is look in column V and column W. If you're still seeing green lights, you generally want to just sit tight through this fund. When you see a red light and a red light, that's something that you'd want to possibly change to money market or move it to another fund that's showing green lights and green lights. But when you see the red lights on both sides of column V, that means that you should look at that and consider making any changes to those funds allocated to those investment choices. Here we have 55% allocated to the money market. That's always in neutral, so we'll just sit there until we see better opportunities. Our 0% allocation is 0 because we've seen so much red appearing all the way out here for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks now. We've seen straight red, so it's a good time to just stay away from that. When you start to see the numerical values increase, or you start to see more green lights appear, that would be a good time to go back into that. The U.S. growth in income, we have a similar story. We have a 5% allocation that would be ideal. We're 0 because, again, we've seen a lot of red lights, and we're seeing primarily yellow and red on the left side of column V. So we've elected to just preemptively move that over to a money market fund until we see green lights start to appear again, and we see the numerical values starting to increase. Our 20% allocation to the U.S. equity funds, we're looking at this and it shows that we have a green light and a green light, so there's nothing that we need to do there. Our investments in the international funds are 0. And again, that's because we've been moving to a lot of red lights and then all red lights. So we've decided to stay clear of this until we start to see some of the green lights appear. And where you'd see them first would be out on the left side down column S. In the short term, most likely you'd see those turn green and then followed by the intermediate and the long term. When those start turning green, you'll also start to see the strongest funds on the right side of column V, the ones in column W, those will start turning green first, and that'll be a sign that those are some of the stronger performing funds on a market turnaround. And finally, let's go down and see what our sector funds look like. We have a 10% allocation to the financial services, and that's still showing 2 green lights, so we're fine. And we have a 5% allocation to the healthcare, and again, that one looks fine, even though we're seeing a slight weakening in the trend because the overall market was weak this week. It's still green, so we don't have anything to do with any of the funds, so we'll sit pat just how it's allocated right now. So that's it. That's all you have to do to take a quick review of your 401k. And let's go back to our main worksheet. We'll go with the performance columns. I'll hit show, and we're right back to our home page. That's what I've got for this week. I hope it's been helpful and gives you some ideas and resources for managing your 401k choices. If you'd like to get a copy of this worksheet, you can have it emailed to you. Just simply send me an email and I'll put you on my mailing list. Or you can go to thegreenlightinvestor.org, and on the website you can go to the recent posts, and on that post there'll be a link that'll let you download this worksheet so you can go through and see how your investment choices are doing on a week-to-week basis. Thanks again for taking the time to watch this video, and have a great week.